Welcome to AA Mend Meditations. Today we're going to reflect on Step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Get comfortable and let's reflect on what Step 6 means. Let's look at the 12 steps as a mountain range we are climbing. Step 6 is often the quiet plateau that we hike right past without realizing its significance. In the Big Book, it gets incredibly brief coverage, just a couple of paragraphs at the end of Chapter 6. Because of that, it's an easy thing to do to consider it a minor speed bump on the way to Step 7. But the founders of our program knew exactly what they were doing when they isolated this moment. Bill W. thought it very important when he wrote in the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions that Step 6 is the step that separates the men from the boys. Now don't get hung up on the old-fashioned language. He is saying that this is the step that separates basic compliance from true spiritual transformation. We go from basic compliance to true spiritual transformation. Step 6 asks us a profound, unsettling question. Are we entirely ready? Not mostly ready. Not ready to give up the flaws that cause us immediate pain. Entirely ready to have all these defects of characters removed. So what is a character defect and why do I hold on to it? To understand why Step 6 is so difficult, we have to look honestly at what a defect of character actually is. In the context of recovery, these defects are often just our survival mechanisms gone completely off the rails. They are the distorted ways we tried to protect ourselves, find comfort, or force our will upon the world when we were drinking and living in fear. Let's be honest with each other. Some of our defects feel incredibly good in the short term. Resentment, for example, can feel like a warm, comforting blanket of self-righteousness. It makes us feel superior. Anger and control give us a fleeting illusion of safety in a world that feels chaotic. Lust, pride, and procrastination all offer immediate, albeit cheap, gratification. When we look at our character defects through that lens, we realize why we are being asked to hesitate and really reflect at Step 6. We are being asked to hand over the very crutches we used to walk through life with. We might desperately want God to remove the defects that embarrass us or land us in trouble, like our explosive tempers or our financial dishonesty. But what about our quiet judgments? What about our subtle manipulations? What about the self-pity we use to get attention? True willingness means looking at the ledger of our flaws and saying, take the ones I love just as freely as the ones I hate. Take them all. Remove them all. Which brings me to the have God remove part of the step and the illusion of self-reliance. The phrase have God remove is the core theological engine of this step, or use higher power if that works for you instead of the word God. Notice it does not say, Step 6, We used massive willpower and self-discipline to eradicate our flaws. If willpower could have saved us, we would have stopped drinking on our own power years ago. The exact same truth applies to our character defects. I cannot simply look at my own character defect and on self-will alone expect it to go away. It doesn't work. When I try to fix myself, I usually just end up creating a new layer of pride because I think I am the one doing the heavy lifting. We know who really is. Step 6 is an admission of powerlessness all over again. In step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. In step 6, we admit we are powerless over our own broken personalities. We are acknowledging that we cannot engineer our own perfection. And this requires a massive shift in our ego. And it forces us to stop trying to manage, manipulate, deflect, and control our own recovery. Instead, our sole job in step 6 is to achieve a state of absolute, unconditional willingness. Which brings us to the part of the step that says, are we entirely ready? So what does it actually look like to be entirely ready? For most of us, it doesn't mean we reach a state of flawless, angelic perfection where we never feel a selfish thought again. We are human beings, and we will walk this earth with our flaws until our last breath. Spiritual perfection is an unattainable star, but spiritual progress is the ground we walk on. Being entirely ready means we stop making excuses for our behavior. It means we stop saying, well, I only lied because they pushed me to it, or I'm allowed to be bitter because of what they did to me 10 years ago. It means we look at our defects clearly, take full ownership of them, and recognize that they are blocking us, not only from a relationship with a higher power, but from being genuinely useful to the people around us. It is a state of open-handed surrender. It's sitting quietly and saying, higher power, I am holding on to nothing. I am no longer protecting my favorite vices. I am entirely open to whatever changes you want to make in my heart on your timeline, not mine. So what is the promise of step 6? I want to leave you with these great words. This step can feel terrifying because it feels like an erasure of who we are. We wonder, if you take away my sarcasm, my anger, my hypervigilance, my pride, what is left of me? We fear that we will become boring, flat, or defenseless. But the beautiful paradox of recovery is that when God removes a defect of character, He doesn't leave an empty vacuum inside us. He replaces it with an asset. Where resentment is removed, forgiveness and empathy move in. Where fear and anxiety are removed, faith and serenity take root. Where arrogance is taken away, a quiet, genuine humility is born. So, step 6 is not about losing yourself. It is about finally discovering who you were always meant to be before the alcohol and the fear distorted your spirit. It is the bridge from the wreckage of our past to the freedom of our future. And if you're thinking, I'm not just ready to let go of this anger or that anger, don't despair. The old timers in the program gave a beautiful piece of advice, which we still rely on. If you aren't willing, pray for the willingness to be willing. Start right here. Your higher power can work with even the smallest crack in that door. So I invite you to open that crack and find the willingness of step 6. Thank you for listening. This is Auntie Jill.